Alright.
Here is a Switch X guide, you morphing bastards. Switch X was actually much simpler than I thought at first. When I first went into training area and starting doing some combos and all that, my head was bursting from all the information, but in the end, it's actually quite simple. You have two modes. While you're in the X mode, you're more mobile, but your attacks are much slower. When you're in the sword mode, you're moving much more slowly, but your attacks are faster, and also you do piercing damage, which means that your attacks won't ricochet off enemies' tough body parts. And also in sword mode you get fantastic move called Elemental Discharge that does a lot of damage. And when in amped mode, it can automatically mount enemies. Damage potential of this weapon is enormous. Still, the weapon's got a huge flaw that I can't seem to work my head around it, and that is initiation. It's horrible at initiating. Goal is to be in sword mode as much as possible, because it simply gives you more options. X attacks are fantastic as well. But as I said, they are so long and you don't have any protection while doing it, therefore making you an easy target in the process. This weapon, in all honesty, is fantastic against certain opponents, but it is completely useless against other opponents. I don't think there is middle ground with this weapon. It's simply either shite or fantastic. At least that was my experience. In this training area I'm gonna cover some moves and give you some advice on how to initiate and all of that. If you press triangle when your weapon is sheathed, you're gonna pull out an X. If you press R1, it's sword. This is important for initiation, as I will explain a bit later. Let's now talk about X combos. X in general's got slow animations that make you stuck in a position, therefore making you an easy target for your opponent. Still, X has got really nice combos that are very efficient. Triangle one is an infinite combo chain and is greatly used to reach body parts of taller monsters. Circle combo is the one that I use the most. By doing these wild swings that are also infinite, well, at least until you run out of stamina, you can trip your enemy or KO them, however you want to call it, by hitting their legs continuously with wild swings. If you press R1 button on top of that, you're gonna do a devastating finisher that will also morph you immediately into sword mode. By the way, you can morph constantly from sword mode to X and from X to sword by pressing R1 button in the middle of any kind of combo. This is the move that you should be focused on using all the time when sword is on the cooldown. It does the most damage out of any other attack except Elemental Discharge. By pressing left analog stick in any direction and using triangle or circle, you're gonna do variations of normal attacks, and also you can combine triangle and circle for an infinite combo that will include both types of attacks. Let's talk about our initiation options with this bloody weapon. I like to initiate from sheathed position. That's my primary thing. I'm just saying my version, my way how I like to do things and what I found to be useful against different types of opponents. There are two ways you can do this. You can go with either X or sword. I prefer sword initiation with R1 from the sheathed position because it immediately puts you into possibility to do the triangle sword combo that is very fast, and it also does not ricochet off a tough body part because it pierces through. There is also another way. When your weapon is drawn out, you can use forward plus circle to initiate with X. That will do a quick attack and will cover distance nicely. After that you can go into sword mode and then do that combo that you see at the bottom of the screen that says sword combo. That is the combo that you will be using with sword all the time. Now we're gonna cover that icon, that sword icon that is displayed beneath the weapon durability icon. Bar in the middle of that icon indicates how many more charges of vial you've got left when using sword mode. Every attack with sword mode depletes that, especially if you do element discharge. That thing uses a lot of that bar. When you're attacking in sword mode, there will be an outline around the sword icon. That blue outline indicates when it's completely around the sword that you're in the amped state. When you're in the amped state, you're actually doing more vial damage with sword attacks. It all depends on what type of vial you've got on your weapon. So to recap, bar is depleted by using sword mode, but when you're in the sword mode and using attacks with the sword mode, that blue outline will surround the sword, and when it's completely surrounded, you have amped state. That does increased vial damage. Cool thing about it is that if in amped state, elemental discharge also mounts an enemy. It's not a typical mount, it's more of a semi-mount, and you can be easily thrown off if enemy damages you in any way while doing the amped elemental discharge. In order to maximize your damage so that you can stay in sword mode as much as possible, try to combo with sword that triple triangle and 2x circle until the bar is almost completely depleted. That's when you should use elemental discharge. Actually, at that point it's gonna be always amped elemental discharge because you've done plenty of attacks in to get into amped state. For example, with my current weapon I can do 3x triangle, 2x circle, then again 3x triangle, 2x circle, and then go into amped elemental discharge. That's the way to prolong the sword usage and maximize the damage output. When that bar in the middle is depleted, you'll switch to X mode. To regain that bar again, simply stay in X mode or have your weapon sheathed. It will recharge over time. Here is one thing that helps with mobility issues slightly. It's called a sidestep. Whenever you do an attack, you can do sidestep to quickly dodge out of the way. Every switch X has got wild type. It can be power element, it can be exhaust, or whatever. By the way, if you don't know what exhaust does, it makes enemies tired more quickly. When you are in the amped state, that means when blue color is glowing around your sword icon, you're gonna dish out more vial damage. So if it's exhaust, the enemy will become tired even quicker. Same principle applies to every vial type. That's why prolonging sword mode is important. Math is simple. If you do more attacks in amped state, the more DPS you do overall. That's really all there is to Switch X. If I missed something, please post in comments. That is always helpful. Now you know all the weaknesses and all the benefits of using this weapon. If you can master initiation and that sidestep to avoid getting constantly staggered or taking damage or whatever, you're gonna master this weapon and it's going to be effective against most enemies. It takes a bit of practice to get used to the combos and to weapon types that you're wielding, but it is definitely doable. Thank you all for watching, I hope this guide helped you, and see you soon.